But we are, of course, discussing a very serious issue of gun violence in our cities. On Friday, actually, I visited the Winnipeg Police headquarters, and they provided me with a quite an immersive tour of what they're doing on the ground to combat gang activity. And they showed me it was incredible. There was $500,000 of methamphetamines, wads of cash I've never seen so much in my life, and a whole table full of the illegal guns that they seized during this large operation. And these operations are ongoing. It's almost monthly. They're seizing this much guns, drugs, and cash. And all of the guns that they showed me on the table were already prohibited in Canada. And so I'm just not clear. I mean, your government is talking a lot about investing several $billions in this so-called buyback program and a proposed handgun ban, which you mentioned today. And so how are banning firearms of certain firearms in Canada going to stop the guns that I saw with my own eyes that are already banned and being used to hurt Canadians right now?
Yeah, I just wonder if you can say with certainty whether or not any of those guns were prohibited under the OIC order that the government recently introduced in the last couple of years, Ms. Dancho, and maybe you can, maybe you can't.
Specifically handguns.
Yeah. Well, and so I would just simply say, again, as I said to Mr. Lloyd, that to the extent that we can, we are investing additionally to provide law enforcement the tools that they need. I'm actually quite assured that those dollars that are coming from the federal government that are being transferred to the provincial government are making their way into your community and are leading to arrests and seizures. That's a proof point, Ms. Dancho, that this government will continue to support law enforcement. But I'll just say in conclusion,
sure,
it's not the only thing that we can do. It's not just about providing additional money to police. We also have to take additional steps to prevent gun crimes from occurring as well, and that's something that I hope to be able to expand on in my time here.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate it. And to be very fair to you, I did ask them about the federal funding they've received, and they said it's very helpful. But when I did ask about the several $1 billion that we anticipate the buyback will cost and the proposed handgun ban, it was, as with all law enforcement that I've talked to, both at this committee and also in person on Friday with the Winnipeg Police, seeing this on the ground, there is a great sense of frustration from police. Their resources are already strapped. They're having a hard time, as you know, dealing with rising gun violence and and drug trafficking in our cities. And when we speak to RCMP in rural Canada, rural crime, as you know, is a growing issue as well. So from what I'm hearing on the ground directly from police officers, there are no resources available for them to further extend themselves to now go to law-abiding citizens and remove their firearms. So are you at all concerned that the measures that your government will be implementing with a potential handgun ban and the buyback are going to severely hurt the already strapped resources of police to do their jobs right now to combat drugs and gang crime?
I take the point, Ms. Dancho. My message to you is that we need to be able to do both, that the solutions here are not mutually exclusive, that it is not just about picking one lane, that we have to invest in law enforcement, which, and I thank you for the acknowledgement, we are doing, and that's being felt by your community, and we'll continue to do that. But we also need to be sure that the guns that we are now prohibiting because they are deadly and their purpose really is only to kill people, like AR-15 and other assault-style weapons, also need to be taken out of our communities. And that is the rationale behind having a buyback program. So one thing, what was really interesting, they've showed me a whole array of firearms that your government has called assault-style. And they showed me two, they weren't the same gun, but they had the identical firepower. They were identical in every way except for cosmetic. One of them had a wood stock, one of them had a black stock. They said the black stock one is illegal, but the exact same capability of this gun is still legal. And so there hasn't been a lot of clearly expert advice on which guns you're looking to ban. It seems to be from experts that we've talked to, from police to firearm experts, the ban you're putting in place has nothing to do with the power of a firearm, but everything to do with how scary it might look, which to me, I think is a great waste of resources, frankly. But one issue I wanted to mention to you was something that is concerning. Police are seeing guns being smuggled all the way by train, all the way from Mexico through the U.S., all the way to our cities. There's a direct line
by train from Mexico to Winnipeg. And they are seeing a great increase in gun violence and illegal guns that are already prohibited in Canada seem to be smuggled in by rail. So if you could just comment, we do believe there should be more resources at our border to check. They said there was no resources to do that.
For you, Minister, 12 seconds.
We need and
money
are
for
investing
borders.
more resources at the border. And when it comes to the ban of AR-15 and assault-style weapons, we are taking the advice of experts who know which of those categories of guns need to be banned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, colleagues, I'm a prisoner of the clock.
Thank you very much. I did want to follow up on the issue of rail. When I was at when I spoke to the Winnipeg Police on Friday, they showed me the map of guns that they've traced from Mexico, from all over the U.S. There is a direct rail line from Mexico through the U.S. right up to Winnipeg. We have something called Centerport, where we have a massive amount of rail cars coming in. And police explained that they do not have the capacity to check all these rail cars. We also heard from CBSA, their union representing their border agents, that they don't have the capacity to search all the rail cars. Police were very keen to express to me that there is a rising amount of drug smuggling and gun smuggling. Compared to even 5 years ago, it's substantially increased, and it's increasing at an exponential rate. So I would ask, I appreciate the funds your government has given to the border agents. That's fantastic. However, given that this is a growing issue, I would just say that I think the $1 billion that your government may be proposing for the handgun ban or the buyback, there would be much more of an impact to public safety if we could search rail cars at a higher capacity, which is where police are saying illegal firearms and illegal drugs are coming in.
Thank you, Ms. Dancho. In brief, we hope with the additional funds that we have set aside for CBSA that there will be more guns that are interdicted and stopped at the border regardless of mode of transportation. I would take you back to what President Ozowski said about moving upstream and working closely with American partners to identify the sources of where those guns are coming from and being more pinpointed and targeted, whether it's rail or whether it's by land or by sea. You may want to put an additional question to him about that. But the technology and the networks that we are leveraging with our American partners, I think, is a key part of the strategic plan that we have to stop guns from entering into the country regardless of mode.
Yeah, no, thank you, Minister. No, and I do appreciate, like I said, the investments made. I just feel that $1 billion can make the world of a difference for stopping this growing issue that's increasing in capacity as the days and years go by. And I saw it firsthand with my own eyes. Another issue is, of course, youth diversion programs. Your government has also invested money in that, which I appreciate. But we've been hearing from organizations on the ground that they have yet to see a significant amount of that 5-year investment. I think it was $250 million. That hasn't quite trickled down and is having the effect, I think, that your government had hoped. And we heard from Marcel Wilson, for example, who's an ex-gang member, used to smuggle firearms almost at an organized crime professional level into Canada, pretty much an expert in this regard. We also heard from the Bear Clan, which is an Indigenous matriarch-led organization at the grassroots in Winnipeg. They're saying, just because something is banned, we're not going to anticipate any illegal criminals or any criminals that are handling these guns illegally, that own them illegally, that possess already prohibited firearms. No one anticipates, and I've asked you this question before, that any criminal is going to hand over their guns to you. I haven't seen any evidence to suggest otherwise. But the point that they were making, we're saying if your government is going to spend billions of dollars, please give it to us so we can divert youth from going into gangs. Now, that would really have an impact long-term on gun violence if we can inject $1 billion, for example, rather than into the buyback and the handgun ban, into youth diversion programs. And so I think it's urgent, and I would much rather see your government divert that money to youth diversion programs.
Ms. Dancho, I'm very eager to make the full use of the $250 million, which has been allocated under the Building Safer Communities Fund. And I assure you, my department and me, and we spoke about this last week as well with our provincial and territorial partners, will make sure that that money has a positive impact to reduce gun violence. I'll also just say that the over $350 million that we have used to tackle guns and gang violence is not just about enforcement some of that money is also being used, as you've heard at this committee, to great effect, and even in your own community of Winnipeg, to be used as a preventative strategy as well. So we will do both.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I hope that you keep on and make sure that money gets to the grassroots level, and I think we can use more. Just my last 30 seconds, Chair, I would like to say I do have a growing concern that redirecting already limited police resources to going and enforcing this buyback program to target law-abiding citizens who have legally owned their firearms, and they're now going to be illegal within the coming weeks. I'm greatly concerned of the impact that will have on public safety, that we're taking limited police resources away and diverting them to something that's not really going to have much of an impact
Sorry.
from the experts we've
Minister,
heard. So I just wanted
quickly,
to caution that. That's my concern, Minister. Thank you.
Take 10 seconds, Minister.
We will both invest in law enforcement. As part of that, ensure that the buyback program gets deadly guns off of our streets and out of our communities while also preventing gun crime.